Hello, my name is Charlie Hinz. I am the bass player for Brazen Aster, and today I'm going to give you guys a little look at what I use with Brazen Aster. Now, this is a pretty big rig, at least on the floor it is, so I did have to take a while explaining how my rig works. You'll see what I mean in a sec, especially with the magic of video editing. So, this is my pedal board that I'm using with Brazen Aster. As you can see on my camera here, it's got a crap load of effects on it. We actually end up calling this the BFP. If you've ever heard of the video game Doom, like it's a reference to the BFG, the big effing gun. Well, this is the big effing pedal board. So I'm using Tone X as my primary source of sound. We have an emulation of a plexi on here. Yes, I'm using a plexi to play bass, basically. And then from there, we got two distortions, one high gain and one overdrive. We got a reverb, we got a delay, we've got a chorus pedal, and we got a noise suppressor that has kind of become obsolete on the board because this has a noise gate. But for this song in particular that we're working on today, 730, I'm going to be using this. This is the TC Electronic Crescendo. It's an auto swell. So I can like make my bass, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, sound like a cello. And for this, there's this one song that we do called Three Parts, and at one point I use a wah. So I use the Dimebag Daryl Crybaby from Hell by Dunlop. And then I got a tuner and I got a Donner volume/wah just in case. Hello, the disembodied voice of Charlie from the future here, coming to let you know that I forgot to mention a pedal, the Digitech Drop. And how could I? This thing has been a godsend ever since I got it. Basically what this pedal does is it changes the tuning of my guitar or bass without me having to touch the tuners a single bit. I primarily use this pedal on the song Fairy Tale. And now I return you back to, well, I guess past Charlie in this case. And then as for my bass, I'll stop filming mine, so I'll use that here for this. Basically from, pun not very much intended when I say basically, for my bass, I'm using a bass that I've wanted ever since I was not a bassist. You know, I've wanted this for a while. This is a Rickenbacker 4003. One trick. People say that this bass is a one-trick pony. One-trick pony my ass. You know, because this thing can do like so many things. I could slap on it, and I could hear all the purists like screaming their heads off right now at that mere thought. But yeah, this is the bass I'm using. You could get so many sounds out of this thing too. Like it's crazy. Like it's just nuts how good this thing is, and it just feels great to play too. Previously, I was using an Ernie Ball Music Man Stingray, and for the song we're rehearsing today, which is 730, I used to use that bass back there, which is a Dan Electro Longhorn. Maybe I'll bring that back in at some point if we do two. I got to see how that song feels on this stuff first. And then, since this needs an effects loop in the studio, let me get this clutter out of here. This is my phone and my headphones. I'm using the Ampeg SVT7 Pro. So the SVT7 Pro, great amplifier. I'm using it as an effects loop right now to power the Tone X pedal. But Ampeg, I mean, they're like a well-known name in the bass amplifier game. So it's nice to know that we have one of their things here. And yeah, that's pretty much my rig. As complicated as the pedal board is, that's probably the most complicated part of the rig. And then pick-wise, I'm using a guitar pick, actually. The John Petrucci, the JP, you know, the Dunlop John Petrucci signature pick. I love this thing for both guitar and bass because it's small, that I could do the shredding thing if I wanted to when I play guitar, and it's like big enough that I could do strumming stuff whenever I play guitar too. So this thing is just epic. It's amazing, you know? All right, so I noticed I forgot to give like a playing demo of like my rig. So here is what it would sound like normally. So that's the plexi with a compressor on it. There's a compressor on Tone X. It's basically an amp sim, right? Tone X is basically like a more affordable neural quad. And then if I do the crescendo, so for 730, I mentioned that. I'm going to turn on the crescendo. I'm going to change the reverb effect to like this Devin Townsend signature on the Hall of Fame. I'm going to get on the Hall of Fame, I'm going to get on the chorus, and then I'm going to do... that's what that would sound like. And I mentioned doing this. There's a song that I do this on, so purists, look away now. I'm about to... That's another song of ours called Four Corners. I combine slap, which you just saw, fingerstyle, and then later on in the song, pick, which... And the reason I use the plexi is because, like, very beefy sound. You know, Lemmy used Marshall amplification as well. I think his was a super bass, and I think this is a capture of a super, you know, a JMP super lead. So, yeah. So, yeah, and then if I wanted to go, because on Fairy Tale, I also use the Digitech Drop, which is a drop tuner pedal. So, for certain songs, I'll drop tune a half step down, but I have to be in drop D, and I'm not in there right now. So, then I got my two distortions. That is the Ibanez TS9, which is a guitar pedal, so it's a tube screamer. I got that. And then I got the throttle box, which is a more high gain sound, and then the wah that I use. Yeah, when it comes to bass and wah-wah pedals, you kind of have to play that song, you know? All right, that's my rig. There you go. And that is actually where we are going to call it a video. Basically, my original intention, we filmed this a few weeks ago, right? And my intention was to do all of my bandmates' rigs in one video, including my own. However, when I went to edit the video, I realized that I spent a little bit too long talking about my rig, and I didn't give my bandmates enough time to explain theirs. So, here's what we are going to do. This is how we're going to do it, right? Each bandmate is going to get their own video explaining their rigs and demonstrating their rigs to you. And I think that'll be a very, very fun thing for you guys to see. So I'm really excited about, you know, filming that when we get there. But yes, in the meantime, that was my bass rig, and this has been Behind the Sounds. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Charlie Hinz. Have a good one, guys.